Danielle, hello. Travis, Rosie, James, Leah, hello. Michael, Rita, hello. Simona, how are you? Scott, Michael, hey guys. Exciting times we live in. Clate, how you doing? Okay. Where's Gary at? Gary get lost? How you doing, Scott? Okay, Swamp Watch. 7/1/19. Simona's busy. Nice to be busy. See how much longer that lasts. Barbara, hello. I'm going to start with a post I just made. So I just posted about making it a family 4th of July. I've been thinking about this today, and we know about the possibilities of what could happen on the 4th, and a lot could happen on the 4th. Just think about it. Isn't, wouldn't it be brilliant to have all the people that you care about at your house when all this stuff goes down? Just think of the captive audience you'll have. I mean, it couldn't be any better, right? I mean, it's all going down, and you're right there with them, guiding them through this thing. Because we're talking about, just to refresh everybody's memory, the possibilities of what's going down on the 4th. We got JFK Jr. That rumor's been around for a while now. We've got the reset, and we've got the swamp / in the Fed, in the IRS revamping. Just think if on the day that he declares the reset, a gold-backed currency, the end of the Fed, the end of the IRS, Obama and Clinton and Kerry and 10 more of the big dogs in the Obama administration, and some Republicans also. This is not going to be a one-way street. There's Republicans that are going to go down in this also, mostly Democrats. Just think of that all happens on the 4th of July. They have military assets in place for civil unrest. There's going to be Abrams tanks in the Washington parade, possibly fully armed. They're expecting, and obviously the deep state wouldn't be too happy about this, so anybody who's out in public at any public 4th of July celebration, well, personally, it's a personal call, but I damn sure would have a gun close by if I was going to do that, because there a lot of states, I think, are on high alert for possible 4th of July terror attacks. So if you're out in public at one of those events, situational awareness, you got to be aware, guys. Don't fall asleep. We're too close to the end to lose anybody. Hello, Joan. How you doing, Kevin? Gary, you're late. Um, so so to get back to the idea of the barbecue, one we're going back, right? Um, it's as American as you could get. A barbecue on the 4th of July. We're lucky enough where we live, we can see fireworks from like 4 or 5 different fireworks shows around us. So it's kind of easy to get people to come on the 4th, at least. So, that's our plan. And I was thinking today, um, along those same lines, this kind of came to me later, but we're doing a website. Some members have volunteered, Scott and Simona, to help us with the website. Uh, I think it's going to be thewatchman.co, if I'm not mistaken, is the domain that we got. So, it's what we wanted, right, or would want. So that's going to be hopefully up and running uh, next week sometime, and I'll keep you guys posted. But we are going to ask for some input because what we're trying to do is everybody knows what's going on with Google and Facebook and Twitter and the censoring and the deleting of accounts. We just want to protect ourselves. We don't want to lose any time, especially at this critical point in time, in not getting the information out that is that people need to hear. So we'll have the website up next week, and what we're kind of doing is we're kind of taking some of the info we've already got on the Watchman page and moving it to the website, some of the live chats, stuff like that, the articles, the videos. And then we'll start from here on out, everything that we put on the page will go on the website. So it'll just mirror each other. And then we're also going to need some input on what kind of live chat we use, because we're going to have an alternative to the Facebook's chat, if we're on our own. So when we get probably in the next few days, maybe the first of next week, I'm going to ask you guys to give us some input on what the options are and what you guys think. And then taking it a next step further, thinking about this today, in just the diversity we have in our group now, I'm not all knowing, as Scott and Simona know. So I think what we need to be doing right now is working as smart as we work hard. And that means taking advantage of all of our knowledge. Taking the unity thing, where if we're going to preach it, we need to live it. So anybody that has any ideas about how we can increase our reach, how we can reach more people, I'm all ears. We've got the website going. We're going to get another live stream set up. But there's got to be other things we can be doing that one of you guys knows something about. And if you have something, please message me, post it, on the Watchman page. Now's the time, because this has been warm up, right? Up until this point, I really believe we're just kind of setting the stage for what's coming the next 6 months. I don't see how we get through July without big things happening. If it doesn't happen on the 4th, and I'm telling you, it's not just one or two or three people saying these things, and me. There's a lot of people saying that a lot's going down on the 4th. So we'll see. We know if it doesn't go down, don't be discouraged. You know, this is a fluid situation here. I believe there was one other time that they had planned on revealing JFK Jr. I think it was the 22nd of November, I believe, and I think they pulled it back. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it wasn't the right timing. So we all know that we're not doing this on our time. We're doing this on God's time. God's going to be ultimately the one that decides when this goes down. I in my heart feel like, you know, that this is it. That everything's lined up. And this is so different than any other situation that I thought might trigger all of this. This is like on steroids what I would have expected when you see everything happening around the world and the bond market going crazy and the stock market going up on horrible information, the volatility we're seeing in the crypto market right now. There's a lot of things, the debt, on and on and on and on and on, trucking. It's inevitable, and it can't go on much longer. Even if they print more money, it's not going to save it. So you got that, and we see how President Trump, and then you look at what's happening at the G20 meeting with China and Russia. At the same time, everything else going on. Right after he lined the Queen out on how things are going to go from now on. It just makes sense, guys. And this is turning the socialist agenda back on them, like we have with everything else. Like we did with the spying, it got turned back on them. The same thing's happening now. We're going to see the attack if he does it this way. You know, the socialists, one of their tactics is to just overload you with thing after thing after thing after thing after thing. So you feel like you're in a tsunami, that you're just overwhelmed. Just think about all of these things hitting on the same day. Any one of these things is huge historically. All of them to happen on the same day? Just think how that diffuses in a couple of ways. Number one, it's not only overwhelming, but think about the JFK Jr. impact, especially if President Trump announces him as the vice presidential running mate and Pence gets arrested at the same time. And they announce his pedophile charges. And they explain the reason why he was even vice president. He had to take Pence. The RNC basically were playing hardball. And if you want our money and our funding, our support, you got to have this guy as your VP. That's why he waited so long, because he was trying to figure out how he could do it another way. Well, it all worked out. You know, he used Pence, and I got no trouble with him kicking a pedophile to the curb. That's why, well, you know, if he's dirty, why did President Trump take him on? Well, he had to. If he, you know, as close as it was, if he wouldn't have got that money, we may be looking at a different outcome. So it was played perfectly, and you just think about this. So now, he not only has just taken down all of these perverts, these monsters, but here is the Democratic Party's golden child returned to help Donald Trump. What do you think that does to the core of the opposition. It deflates them. Because now, what are you going to do? Fight against the Democratic golden boy? They're crushed. They're crushed. If he does it, it's a stroke of genius. What do they do? What do they say? Just think about the mainstream media. Can you imagine? You thought it was awesome watching them the night of the election? Wait to see how they react if he really does this. Epic. You can't just think about it. The Fed, the IRS, the swamp, the reset, gold-backed currencies. My God. JFK Jr. How do you... I'm almost speechless. And that's saying something for me. Is brilliant. And my God, every day that goes by, I see something else that makes me think, this looks like it's going to happen. Again, don't get... By now, if you guys have been in this for a while, ups and downs. It doesn't matter. Whatever happens, we push through it. That's what's made us the country that we are. That when it gets right down to it, at the end, when we're up against it, we find a way to pull it out. And we do that by pulling together, by working together as Americans. The same things we saw in the Second World War, we're going to see now, in 2019, in this war. And again, I think that the turmoil described like in Armageddon in the Bible, I believe that can occur either physically or spiritually, depending on how God wants to manifest it. I believe Armageddon is going on right now. And most of it's behind the scenes because the mainstream media is not reporting on it. It's like I just posted an article on the pedophilia, and it was the deep state. Basically, what it is propaganda from the deep state to try and normalize pedophilia, and saying, well, it's just the way they are. They're trying to. And if I was gay right now, I would be screaming bloody murder, because basically what they're trying to do is say, well, it's like being gay. I don't, not at all. You can't even try to go there. What two grown adults want to do in the privacy of their own home or wherever, that's their business. But you're not in this country going to think that you're going to pull that crap and get away with it, that it's okay to molest children. That's the new normal. Not going to happen. Not now, not never. That battle's over before it starts. Just wait to see what happens when when the other side, when the liberals find out the truth about their heroes, that most of them are butchering children. Let's see what they say then. That's going to devastate them. You think this information is hard when you're on the right side of it? Think how hard it's going to be when you're on the wrong side of it. It's going to devastate people. People are going to commit suicide over this. People that, and good people. Some of these people have just been either not smart enough, or they were just indoctrinated as children, where that's the way they grew up. You can't believe how many, if you look at the hashtag walkaway, and everybody should take a look at some of that stuff. Some of those people and their stories that were just entrenched in the Democratic Party. Everybody in their family for generations has been a Democrat. That's how they vote, the whole family. And now they're having their eyes open by some of the things they're seeing, and seeing that the things that the mainstream is telling them and the Democratic Party's telling them isn't matching up with reality. They're making the connection. Just think what happens at the next step when the pedophilia comes out. Think about the avalanche. The Democratic Party's decimated. The mainstream media is decimated, because it's going to be very apparent to anybody with an IQ over 50 that the only reason this was able to happen because the mainstream media didn't do their job. Just look at the lack of reporting on the pedophilia arrest since President Trump. Pedophilia, child trafficking, human trafficking. Since President Trump, compared to the last 5 presidents combined, he's got 10 times what they did. Because they were all involved in it after Reagan. So they don't want it to come out. They're protecting it. I mean, look at Child Protective Services. I think I posted something about that today. Child Protective Services was an organized, in most states, organized pedophilia ring. They were basically selling these kids to pedophiles, forcibly removing them from their homes on trumped up charges and selling them to pedophiles. And this isn't conspiracy theory. There's already been 1 or 2 cases that have been prosecuted. And it's very widespread, and that's all part of the swamp. That's all coming down. So just think about when the people we know, and I know we all know probably several, who are super liberal and big Obama Clinton fans. Oh, and Obama, a pedophile also. And the truth about him, his birth certificate, his nationality, and his wife, so-called wife, all that's coming out. So, I'm going to say again, we've got to take the high road here. If we are with our friends on the 4th, and if we're not and this goes down, we know there's going to be calls. We got to take the high road. No gloating. No rubbing people's noses in it. This is devastating. This is going to be devastating for people. You don't want to be responsible for putting somebody over the edge. Because I really believe that there's a lot of just people that I know who just have some of these pretty smart people, highly educated, big jobs. Can you imagine somebody like that just having their world turned upside down? Especially if maybe there are other things in their lives going on, which we know with the economy being what it is and so many unemployed that obviously are being covered. There's a lot of people in delicate situations. So, and a lot of times we don't know, right? So the last thing you want to do is, to somebody that you think is pretty thick-skinned, is say something that just is a last straw, that you don't know, that maybe they're overdrawn in their bank account. They're online to lose the next row of layoffs, and their house They're behind on the payments. And then this happens. And then you rub it in. You know, you don't know what people are going to do in situations like this. And this is going to be, again, I just think it's going to be our biggest danger, bigger than the EMP. And by the way, EMP shield, $50 off for your car, for your home. I think everybody should have one. I'm ordering one or two. I'm ordering one for my house and one for my car. I think everybody should get one of these. So if you have any questions, JC, you ask me or get to JC. He's the one that kind of set this thing up. He's talked to them. They're great guys, patriots, somebody we want to support. And this is something that we should have no matter what, because with the crazy weather and some other things possibly going on, I think we're more likely to have the solar flares, which can cause EMPs. So it makes sense, guys. It's part of being prepared, I think. Okay. So if you can, try and put together that 4th of July party. Be graceful if all these things happen. We really need to be level-headed here and think about what we're doing and what we're saying and how this is coming across to the people we're talking to. Because remember, part of the cognitive dissonance thing is that it makes it really hard to take on information. So we really need, and it's, for me, it's really hard. But you have to be aware of it, and you have to take it really slow, because it's almost going to be like me going through the stroke, that some stuff, it comes a little bit slower, and I've really got to focus on it. I see it's the same thing with the cognitive dissonance, because they get so overloaded with what they perceive as all that. And obviously, if you supported the Clintons, it's going to be really negative for you as far as how you perceive this. And obviously the pedophilia and everything else they're involved in is horrible. But the things that are coming because of it, that we're ridding the earth of these monsters, that they're either going to be executed or locked up for life. And we make sure that it never happens again. It's all good. You know, the reset, we have to have that happen. And when we do, if you're on this page and you're prepared, again, we thrive. That's when we have the funds to pay it forward, to help others through this process. Again, when you start thinking about others first, putting others first, it's life-changing. There's nothing that you can accomplish with that kind of energy in you. It's the most rewarding thing I've ever done. So please experience what I'm experiencing. Because even though, some of us are going through rough spots, I wouldn't trade places for any other time in history, bar none. This is man's greatest moment. So are we going to be a part of it, or are we going to let it pass us by and be a spectator? I know you guys are not spectators. That's why you're here. You wouldn't be here if you're spectators. So let's take it to the next level. Let's start using our heads a little bit. Let's see if we can come up with some other things, some other ways to reach people. And it's a numbers game, guys. The more people that we can wake up, the more people we can get through this process, the easier the whole thing's going to be for all of us. And again, It's pulling together as Americans. No black, no white, no liberal, no conservative. All working together, putting the feelings aside. There's no room for hard feelings when we're going through this. It's we got to get past that stuff. Moving on, the economy. Dow was up 117 points today. NASDAQ was up 84. There you go. It's crazy. Bitcoin crunch is on. And guys, anybody who's been doing this for a while, this is what cryptos are. They're volatile. Volatile going up. But they're going to continue to go up. Yeah. Higher highs, higher lows. It's headed up. So this is just, next week is going to be up $1,500 on Bitcoin. Litecoin, so Bitcoin was down 437, down to 10,597. So it's still over 10.5. Litecoin was down 8 cents. It's at 122.72. So it's a buying opportunity, guys. I think it's kind of leveled off now. I mean, you obviously want to keep, if you're thinking you're ready to buy some, obviously you want to buy at the low. I think we got to be pretty close. And remember, I'm hedging that things are going to change on the 5th, big on the 5th. Probably start changing on the 4th. Maybe even if some of this stuff starts to leak out, you might just see, stuff coming on the 3rd. But I think it's going to be huge on the 5th. If any one of the things happens on the 4th that I mentioned, I think there's going to be big moves on the 5th, no matter what. So, for you guys, any ideas you have about expanding our reach, message me, post it, and I'm going to go through the questions here in a sec. I'm just checking to see if there's anything else. Okay, let me see what we got for questions. Okay. Cousin Jennifer, how you doing? Well, heck, cook a turkey, Kevin. If you can get people to your house on the 4th, get them to your house. Well, he's already got on the 4th, he's making a speech on the 4th. They're having a ceremony. They're having a parade. Again, there's going to be Abrams tank in this parade. Jesus, guys. He'll probably be in that speech. I would bet, and he might even be in. If he does it, I would imagine that he may be announcing that there were some takedowns during the night, right? So the night of the 3rd, I would imagine if they're going to take people down, it would be 4:00 in the morning on the 4th. So if he does, I would imagine, just guessing here, a speech on the 4th would be around 1 or 2 or 3. I mean, he could do it later in the evening, but it won't be in the morning. He's going to want to catch the West Coast crowd. So bottom line is, you guys can find out. I mean, I'm sure somebody can Google it and post it right now. But my guess would be that that's when he would do it. And he's been building up to this thing for a long time. Here's the other thing you guys got to remember. The last president to have any kind of celebration on the 4th of July was Nixon. So that would have been 70. Yeah, because it might have been 71. But what is that? 40 years ago plus? Yeah, almost 50 years ago. It's been since we've had a 4th of July celebration. Let that sink in a little bit. Doesn't that seem odd to you in America that the president hasn't had a celebration on the 4th of July for 50 years, basically? Yeah, Scott's talking about a YouTube channel, and I think, well, I think we should have a YouTube channel also. But we got the same problem with YouTube that we've got with Facebook, right? Because YouTube is what these guys are getting away with. This is how you know that this is a deep state operation, because these guys, number one, we've got the executive order from 12/21/17 about the pedophilia corruption, that the government can confiscate assets of corporations involved. These guys know, I think, they're going down, because they are deleting channels with some of these guys on these YouTube channels are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I think there's a couple of them making over $1 million a year with their YouTube channels. You don't think there's going to be a lawsuit when they shut down one of those guys? And I think they already have. And I don't believe there are lawsuits they can win, because when you look at, because all of it's going to come out, when you look at why they did it, they will be crucified in court. This is an organized, orchestrated conspiracy to censor the American public. What's going on right now with Google and Facebook and Twitter is out and out treason. These people better start thinking about maybe not how much time they're going to spend in jail, but whether they're going to even get to spend any time in jail. Because if they do military tribunals, when you're convicted, they take you out and they hang you. Or I'm not sure if it's electric chair. Might be electric chair with the military. I don't know. Bottom line is, it's still legal. I mean, it's still a penalty for treason is execution. And I think they're going to they need to take full advantage of it. I'm not going to speculate. They need to take full advantage. Everyone who's guilty of treason, I believe, needs to be executed. This cannot be allowed. And when people see the information I've seen, and when they know this stuff, they're going to feel the same way. This goes beyond murder. This goes beyond what the Nazis did. This is horrific. This is torturing children torturing children to terrify them, frighten them to death, so that they get elevated levels of adrenochrome in their blood, so they can drink it after they drain these kids, because they think it's going to make them live longer. What's going to happen when the world finds out about this? And this isn't just a little clique in the United States and America. This is worldwide. Almost every government has people involved in it, including the royal family, including the Vatican. They're the ones that have been pulling the strings. Just think, guys, this is all in the works. If it doesn't happen on the 4th, it's going to happen the week after that, or the week after that. So listen, what happens on the 4th happens on the 4th. This is all good from here on out. We need to take care of business. We need to not be distracted by the other side, because that's their only chance. Distract, deflect, divide, conquer. They don't know anything else. We can't expect anything else out of them, anything better, because it's not going to come. It would have already come if it was coming. So we got to finish this thing. And that means, for us, doing everything we can do, reaching as many people as we can, in whatever time we have, whether it's 3 days or 3 months or 3 years. It's not going 3 years. But if it is, we keep going. We keep plugging. One foot in front of the other. We can't get discouraged. We can't get down. That's what's going to get us through this. It's what gotten us through everything we faced before. I quit talking. I can get some of these questions maybe. Paula, I'm glad you made it. Yeah, I don't know. Well, here's an example, guys, of the messages, right? We were for the new people. Well, within I think less than 2 months after we started the live chats, we were getting between 500 and 3,000 views on every chat, and then they started this, what do they call it? Decelerating, or whatever their term was. Basically, steering views away from conservatives and Christian content. And you see now, we're lucky if we get, 300, 400 now. So we got to keep pushing. The more we can get this in front of people, the more seeds it plants, right? And we got to be planting seeds. It's almost harvest time. So, fourth quarter. Time to keep going. Okay. So, Paula, is it Paula that's confused? Okay. Let me see if I can track this down. Bear with me, guys. Yeah. Well, Paula, that's why Paula's she was saying she was worried that something would happen to Trump, and then a deep stater would get in. Well, that's exactly why they put Pence in. He's got a pedophile ring. I think he's in Indiana, right? I think that's where he's from. In Indiana for years. I think his best friend got busted for pedophilia. This guy's as dirty as they come. So, yeah, that was the plan. The plan was to execute or assassinate President Trump, and then they got their man waiting in the wings, just like with Johnson. There's the symmetry of what's coming is if you wrote this script and brought it in to a movie company, they would laugh you out of the office. It's on the verge of fantasy. I mean, and when you look at all the things that had to align for us to be in this position, on the cusp of man's greatest accomplishment, in the middle of man's greatest accomplishment, how does it happen? It doesn't happen if God's, you can't explain it any other way. It's like running through, the middle of the battlefield with machine guns, 100 machine guns trying to get you on a 100-yard dash. You wouldn't believe it if you saw it. And I think it's the same thing now. He should be dead. When you look at what he was up against, and the attempts, I think there are over 10 attempts, reportedly. They missed over and over. And these guys don't usually miss. So we need to cherish this. we need to stop for a second and look at what's going on. And you can look at the negative stuff, like the homeless situation, and trust me, it's terrible. That's not getting better until we fix this. And we could fix all of it on the 4th of July, or at least make a huge leap forward on the 4th of July if it goes down this way. We could look at the homelessness. We could look at the deplorable conditions that a lot of these people are leaving to try and come to America. How about let's get rid of the evil, and then every country can be like this, because that's what's going to happen. Without that evil in the world, it's going to be a different world. It's going to be the world that God and our founders intended. Wait till you see how many countries adopt something similar to what we have. Because they're finally going to be able to make their own decisions instead of having a central bank controlling them all like puppets. We've got 200 and something bases around the world. Does that make any sense in today's world, except for the fact that we're protecting the big money interest around the world? The wars we've been in, the heroes that we've sent to die for no reason, because somebody wanted to protect a mine somewhere. It's when it all comes out, just think, evil's going to have nowhere to hide, because no one, and I believe most people are inherently good. If people are left to their own devices without any manipulation, people will end up, and not that they won't sometimes do bad things, but you won't see the kind of evil that we've seen the last several hundred years in this world. It's gone. So that's what you have to focus on when you see that cognitive dissonance. You need to keep going back to that, because that's what's going to get people through it. That hope. I think that's what I'm going to leave you with tonight, guys. Please like and share this stuff. The more seeds we plant, the more people we can reach. Remember, fear not. God and President Trump are 100% in control. We'll see you at the next one. God bless.